Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Gotland here in Sweden. So this is going to be my very first beer review from the island of Gotland. We're going to the capital city Visby today and we're going to visit Barlingbo Bryggeri for the very first time. So this one is their Kejsaren. It's a Belgian strong ale and it comes in at 9.2%. This one was only very recently released through Systembolaget actually, so really cool to try different beers from different parts of Sweden. Of course, there's so many microbreweries all over the place here these days, it's kind of hard to keep up, but as I say, cool to try my first beer from the island of Gotland. Hopefully I can get over there and visit sometime, because I've heard it is very, very nice, and they've got a special festival that goes on in the summer as well, so it would be cool to go for that. But I hope you guys enjoy this review, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying this one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Barlingbo Bryggeri. Like I said, very first time I'm trying one of their beers. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you before, and as always, do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. Always interesting to hear from you guys, and do in particular let me know about some of the other Gotland microbreweries that I can come across, because really the only kind of common Gotland beers I see are the ones actually from Gotland's brewery. So it would be great to hear from you guys, but the support and the input that you all give to the channel is hugely appreciated. So don't hesitate to message through the Facebook or Untappd or whatever you like. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Barlingbo Bryggeri then. So this company was founded back in 2013 by Johnny Vard and Niklas Gustafsson. And Niklas is actually the brewer there, and he and Johnny had been experimenting for quite some time with home brewing, and they later decided to turn professional simply because they enjoyed it so much. Of course, here in Sweden and in Scandinavia generally, I guess, there's a huge home brewing culture, probably because the alcohol laws are quite strict in most of the countries except Denmark really. So you get a lot of these little home brewers that decide to turn professional because they get pretty damn good at it. The quality of beer that you get in Scandinavia these days is pretty damn awesome actually. But the brewery were originally based at Staffagard, which is about 10 kilometres outside of Visby. That's a farm, of course, the Staffa farm as you would translate it into English, but their first beers appeared in Systembolaget in May of 2014. However, in February of 2017, the brewery have actually announced plans to move to Visby. They're going to be based next to Skatteverket, the tax agency, of course, and Radio Gotland. So maybe some people from the tax agency will need to go in there after their work. But they've actually teamed up with Reinhard Kleinprecht, who is a restaurateur. I'm guessing he's German going by his name, but they'll have a restaurant on site which will have a new brewery, and it'll have 50 seats inside for the restaurant and a 50-seater outdoor terrace as well. So I would definitely be keen to check that out because I absolutely love German food. So when I make it to Visby, I'll need to actually have a little look at that place. So interesting times ahead for this brewery. Always cool to see new breweries kind of expanding a little bit, and hopefully this is the start of some of the Gotland beers starting to find their way outside of Gotland and further afield in Sweden. So yeah, let's get on to the tasting section of this one. If you want to see the other beers that these guys do, they do have quite a range. When I checked out Rate Beer, there was maybe about 30 or so different beers listed there, and you can obviously check out these beers in the website as well. So do make sure you check out all those links in the description below. But let's get on to the tasting of this one itself. So yeah, as you can see, it's quite simply presented. I'm not sure if that's meant to be the kind of northern lights or stuff. Maybe you can see those from Gotland, of course. But yeah, really quite nicely presented, this one. It's quite plain, but it just does it quite nicely. There you can see the bug on the bottle cap of this one. It does tell you a little bit on the side. It tells you a little bit about the what do you call it, the actual history of the brewery. They were based in the farm, of course, like I told you, based on Gotland, and it tells you a little bit about the beer itself too. So yeah, really quite nicely presented, this one, but we'll get it out and into the glass now. I'm definitely looking forward to trying this beer, and I hope you guys enjoy this review as well. So yeah, nice smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass, and it does smell quite interesting. There's some nice sort of red fruity characters coming out of this one as we open it up. Ooh, that looks nice. That looks really quite nice actually. So yeah, I'll just put the last little bit in. One of the things I maybe should have shown you on the bottle actually that I didn't was you can see the little Gotland symbol here, and this is a reference of course to the big fortress at Visby. So yeah, really nicely presented this beer, and it's poured kind of what you'd expect from a sort of Belgian strong ale actually, although there was a lot of fruity character coming out of this one. So yeah, you can see it's a nice sort of It actually comes across as more of a kind of dark, coppery colour than you're seeing on the camera. It's actually got quite a bit of redness to it, but it looks very nice. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up to where the bottom of that head would be there. There's a few little bits of sediment visible in this one, and as I said, the head just kind of faded away. It was a sort of it was kind of not quite a coppery browny colour, but it was a sort of beigey, quite dark tan head that was on this one. But as you can see, if I put my fingers behind the glass, there's no real transparency to this one. It is just, you know, at 9.2%, then some of these beers do just happen to do that. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh, now that smells quite nice. You can smell the sort of Belgian-y, bready, yeasty character coming out of this one. There's a good bit of banana in there, and it's almost got a little bit of an ashy, I'm picking up a little bit of an ashy, almost smoky character coming out of this beer. That could well be English hops, maybe Fugels or something like that. It's definitely got a bit of that kind of ashy character coming out of it. But yeah, some toasted brown sugars, a little bit of a woody and kind of nutty thing going on as well. And you can smell some of those Belgian yeasty characters. So there's a bit of banana in there, some sort of clovey spice as well. Yeah, and a sort of yeah, bready bananas, that sort of big doughy yeasty thing. And that smoky ashy character that's coming out of this one is quite interesting. There's a lot of toasted brown sugar in this one, like I was saying. Maybe even it goes as deep as being treacle or molasses, as the Americans would call it. But there's a good bit of a red fruitiness coming out of this beer as well. You can smell some raisins, kind of figs and plums coming out of this one. It's maybe the sharper raisins and plums coming out of this beer actually. But there's a nice kind of light candied fruit ester to this one. You know, the sort of Haribo Star Mix type aromas. But it does smell really quite nice and very interesting. So as I always say with the craft beers, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of them before you get stuck in. But let's have a go at this beer now. So this one is the Kejsaren from Barlingbo Bryggeri in Visby over in Gotland. Skål! Ooh, that's quite interesting. It's almost got a kind of medicinal or sort of herbal thing going on with it as well. It has, you know, it really is quite interesting, this actually. It's definitely got these big Belgian strong ale characteristics to it, but I like the way the kind of medicinal quality of this beer comes out. It's really interesting. So with this beer, just sugar it across your palate a little bit, and just let your whole mouth adjust to this one before you start kind of analysing the flavours. But yeah, this is really unusual and quite interesting. It's actually quite a nice beer, I have to say. So, in the middle of your palate, you've got a nice sort of brown bready character. You can feel that just going right across the middle of your palate. There is some kind of slightly stronger, toasted, grainy notes to the beer as well. And then you can feel, as the flavour progresses a little bit, there is a sort of nutty character just lingering there, particularly as you go into the aftertaste actually. But there's a lot of a kind of toasted brown sugar thing coming out of this beer, so it's really quite nice. It's got an interesting balance of flavour, and there's a sort of very interesting, it's not quite aniseed, but some of the flavours I'm getting out of this beer, they really do remind me of a sort of cough syrupy kind of thing. There's a sort of medicinal quality to this beer, and it is quite nice. It's not quite aniseed, but it's something along the same lines as that. But I really do like that slightly medicinal, slightly herbal quality that this beer has. It really is nicely done. And the way the malt base builds up is quite interesting, and I'm very curious as to where that very sort of ashy, smoky, sort of almost Fugel hop aroma came out of this beer, because there's none of that in the taste, of course. On the hoppy side of things, there's a wee bit of earthiness in the back corner of the palate, and you can feel that spreading forward along the sides of your palate, and then it's a little bit grassy around the front curve there. But overall, you know, the hops are very, very smooth. There's a little tiny bit of dryness from the palate where the more grassy notes come out, but the hops are very simple. A bit of earthy character and some grassiness too. Maybe there are some Fugel's hops used in this one, but the flavours are a bit suppressed by the other things that are going on in the malt base with this one. But for me, it's actually quite a nice beer. So yeah. But it really every time I go and take another sip of this, it's that medicinal quality that keeps coming out of it, and it's nicely done. I have to admit, some of these beers that do have the medicinal quality, that sort of medicinal cough syrupy flavour to them, I'm not too keen on, but this one actually does it quite well because it balances out with the other things, and you can really feel that sitting there as you move out into the aftertaste of the beer. So as you just go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you'll get this little oily bubble where the kind of fruity esters come out of the beer. And it's a sort of, it's an interesting one. It's a mix of that kind of candied red fruit ester that you get from the likes of Haribo. It has that kind of sort of sweety character to it as well, but there's some nice sort of figgy flavours just lingering there too. As I was picking up in the aroma, those kind of sort of raisiny or plum notes, the sharper things, don't really come out in the flavour. It's more of a candied red fruit and a kind of figgy flavour that's coming out of this one for me. And that of course blends well with this sort of medicinal, almost aniseedy flavour beer that this beer has. Yeah, it really is. It really is quite interesting. It's almost a little bit. It's almost a little bit like some of the flavour in this beer kind of reminds me of Swedish licorice actually, and it's a common theme that I've actually noticed with some of these Belgian beers I've had in Sweden. You do tend to get these ones that do have quite a bit of this almost medicinal quality to them. And the Swedes, of course, they absolutely love their licorice, and it's something I've actually grown to quite like it since I've been here as well. The salted licorice not so much, but the normal stuff, yeah. And I mean, I can see why this beer would appeal to a Swedish palate, and it's really, for me, it's quite nice, and the quality of the beer is good. The flavours all blend together very well, and it's quite an interesting, quite quirky take on a Belgian style of beer. So have a go with this one and see what you think of it. If you're a fan of licorice, I can see you enjoying this beer, and if you like these sort of more Belgian, kind of the big yeasty body beers to have a bit of medicinal quality, I think this one is going to suit you guys down to a T as well. The thing I'm very curious about it though is where that ashy part of the aroma came from, because it's something you just can't detect really in the flavour, and maybe even if there is Fuggles hops in this beer, which is what I think would give you that aroma, those do seem to be quite suppressed and quite mellow actually. So a very interesting one, and definitely worth trying for yourself. So hopefully I can do more beers from this brewery, because they seem to have got a good kind of, they do seem to have quite a good style of balancing the flavours of the beer. So keep an eye out for this one if you get the chance. So in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, I would say this guy is, it's probably fair to say it's mid-bodied, but it's got quite a bit of boozy character. The booze in this one is quite apparent. You'll notice that as soon as you taste it. It does have a big boozy character. I'm getting a good bit of alcohol warmth down here from this one. The carbonation, I'd say, is fairly moderate. You can actually see quite a lot of it just coming up towards where the head would be on this beer. You can see a lot of it kind of flickering off the surface. But it's got quite a big oily mouthfeel to it, this one. The carbonation does have a little bit of crispness to it, but at the same time, it's actually quite soft. The malt base has a big sweetness to it. There's a good bit of those kind of bready, it's a brown bready sort of yeasty thing you're getting out of this one. A little bit of banana, and maybe even a little bit of clovey spice, but the malt base dries out as the flavour progresses into the aftertaste. The hops overall on the edge of the palate are quite smooth. There's a little bit of dryness on the front corners of the palate, and there's a little bit of a red, juicy fruit ester there, which is really quite nice. The beer, as I say, just balances very well, and this one, if you like licorice, I think you'll quite enjoy or aniseed, I think you're going to quite enjoy the kind of palate, the way that this beer kind of comes across. I think you'll enjoy it in that regard, and if you enjoy the sort of nice kind of big boozy Belgian style ales, then I think you're going to enjoy this as well. But for me, it's a really quite nice beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, and I'd love to try it on tap and maybe even age it a little bit just to see if more of the kind of caramel notes come out of this one. But a very solid beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So yeah, thank you for watching my beer reviews. This was the Kejsaren from Barlingbo Bryggeri over in Visby, my very first craft beer review from the island of Gotland. Of course, hopefully there's many more to follow, but this one for me is a really quite interesting beer, and hopefully I can review more from this brewery in the very near future. So yeah, until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do make sure you check out my social media. Let me know some other craft beers and breweries from Gotland, of course, and do let me know your favourites from Barlingbo Bryggeri, and hopefully I can review more of them for you in the near future. Thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out the Kejsaren from Barlingbo Bryggeri over in Visby in Gothenburg. Definitely for people in Gotland, sorry, not Gothenburg. Definitely for people who love these kind of almost licoricey and big medicinal type Belgian style ales. Really quite a nice beer in that regard. Skål.